hello and welcome. Next time you visit, sorry. Hello and welcome. When you visit doctors or hospitals for that matter, you always see the ubiquitous medical representative waiting there alongside, often after you've gone in. They are also the last mile as far as the pharmaceutical industry is concerned. Now, are they effective? How effective can they be in future? Are they using technology effectively? And more importantly, how's the whole process of sales and marketing working from a pharmaceutical industry to the consumer's point of view? Well, we're going to talk to Sagar Pawar, Associate Director of Pharmaceuticals and Life Sciences at PWC India, to understand this more. So, when we think of sales and marketing, it's really that medical representative who you see sitting, for long hours mostly, right? And I'm sure with time, there has been increasing pressure, sales force sizes have shrunk, and maybe there are new methods of marketing and sales. So what's happening? Take us through the dynamics.
Yeah, sure. So there has been a drastic change in the entire business model. I mean, we started with only in the urban markets, and then there was a feet on ground model where the large companies changed the entire business model. I mean, unlike what MNCs were doing. So they were more into the brand building, whereas the Indian companies, the domestic companies, changed the entire scenario with more feet on ground. So that was a mantra at one point of time. So you put people on ground and then you get more market share.
Right.
You be in maximum number of products, large number of therapy areas, just see a plus sign and you be there. That somewhere would take a stop at this point of time. The reason is that model is not working for all the companies. There is tremendous pressure on the bottom line at this point of time, because also there is a saturation point at which most of the companies have reached today.
Right.
Because now they know that at one point of time, more feet on ground does not mean more sales, right? And there where the business models are evolving.
Right. And why is that?
The reason is the disease profile of our country is changing. It is more mimicking the Western markets. Today you see a similar kind of disease profile in India. You see cardiac problems, you see diabetic problems,
and this is
the lifestyle disorders.
But mostly urban or
no,
urban and rural?
The surprising part is it's not urban phenomena at this point of time. It is also in class 1 towns and to a certain extent in rural towns. So you see lifestyle related problems, CNS problems, the diabetic problems. So diabetes is no more a rich man's disease. It is there in the rural. It is with the lower class population, and it is untreated. Yeah. So those models are changing. So from the mass, that was the acute market. India was more like an acute market, which is like an anti-diarrheal and antibiotic market. That has changed to a specialized market.
Right.
And that would further change to more specialized products, which would be more personalized when we talk about the genomes and that kind of science. So the model is
acute to chronic to specialized.
Acute to chronic to specialized. I mean, that is how the entire scenario has changed. And that is becoming interesting. At the same time, the effectivity of the rep is changing.
Diminishing.
Yeah. Because now it is also going to be science driven. What is the value addition that you are doing? Because at the end of the day, we are a branded generic market. You have like 200 or 20 odd reps, 20 plus reps going to a doctor in a single day. Now, how does it differentiate you? And he gives you 2 minutes. So you have to perform in those 2 minutes, and the doctor is repetitively looking at one rep after another, from MNC to the Indian companies to the fly-by-night companies. So there where you need to be effective. Now, the training is important. Good talent is missing because there is a lot of attrition which is happening. People have lost good people to the BPO industry, the call centers, and so the talent coming into the market is less in the pharma industry. That is the biggest problem today. So how do you make your field force effective and at the same time get the top of the mind of the doctor today?
Right.
So there where I feel that because of these changing models, changing scenarios, technology at one point of time or today, starting today, would play a very...
So give us an illustration of, you've laid out the problem. Yeah. So how do companies fix this?
So basically, they will have to use a lot of tools and techniques. So mobility solutions would be one part, using a lot of apps. So whereby you bring compliance. Directly touching base with the patient. Taking those tools to the doctors where you promote the product in a more scientific manner. So use of smartphones to track the things, to plan properly, at the same time maybe use of the iPad or Android based tablets.
And then that's already happening.
That's happening to a certain extent. But more on that would be like how fast you touch base with the patient.
Right.
So the companies and the field force how fast they touch with the patients and the doctors is going to be key.
But how would they touch base with patients?
So there would be, I mean, the digital or social media would come into picture. So through social media, I mean, how fast are you?
And the social media is to inform about diseases and the larger thing, or is it inform about cures?
So it would be two. I mean, one would be education part, so where you're educating about the diseases, and the second would be like, by doing that, I mean, can I bring more patients at the doctor's clinic? See, and then there where I have my field or my marketing techniques, whereby I try to convert those patients to my products. You know, but there are twofold issues. One is the or social media would do is in terms of educating, say, about Alzheimer, for example. You know, at the same time, I mean, I bring more patients through that media to the doctor's clinic, because people go through that and they
So in Alzheimer's, for instance, many people may not even know that they have the problem.
Absolutely.
Right. So what you're saying seems to be interesting and to some extent futuristic, right? So to what extent are people on the field or are technology literate and ready to adopt this?
So right now it is more in terms of the mobility solutions through the smartphones and the normal Blackberries, where it's more on the tracking and more on the efficiency building. So what activity I'm doing, am I tracking that, and thereby I'm bringing in more efficiency. So the managers today are trying to do that part.
Right.
The next part would be like my in clinic effectiveness. I mean, how do I improve that? So am I using certain new gadgets like those iPads or something like that to promote my products or detail my products, because the traditional way was the visual aid. So am I doing that? I mean, how am I using maybe internet or emails? I mean, to communicate to the doctors.
Right. So that's on the sort of the front end sales bit. So last question really. So tell us about on the brand building and the larger marketing challenge. I mean, how is that changing, if at all?
So I mean, the technology would play a part, but that would be a different issue altogether.
Yeah.
Because today, like I said, when the business models are changing, so there will be a lot of outcome data from the discovery stage itself, which would come into picture.
Right.
So people, because there are today the regulators, the insurers are becoming very demanding. So they would ask for cheaper products, effective products going forward. So a lot of patient data would be synthesized. Now that patient data would feed into the reps when the product goes from innovator to the marketing stage, and that data would be fed to the marketing and sales guys.
Right.
So the marketing.
So you're saying even the broad campaigns would be far more targeted.
So the marketing guys would have a science-driven communication. I mean, what they're communicating to the doctors, and that I mean, getting educated to the salespeople, what they need to communicate further to the doctors.
Right.
So it is going to be two ways.
Right. So Sagar, last question. So what's one new cool app that you think will come into the marketplace next year or in the next 1 year in this space?
So I think a few of them which are already there. I mean, few which are related to diabetes and hypertension. So you have the apps where, I mean, you can just put a blood drop, and then you can look at your blood sugar levels. You can check your blood pressure. So that is something. So I hope there is something coming in for when are you going to get your next epileptic seizures, for example. You know. Yeah. So something, I mean, where people would try to understand.
Right. So technology is helping you sort of manage a problem as well as cure it.
So maybe an app which would detect the changes, biological changes which are happening in your body, and communicating, and communicating through technology, so that you are going to suffer from some certain things, or maybe you are going to go through certain biological changes, which helps you to prevent certain things. Maybe
sounds like an interesting world ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thanks a lot, Govind. Yeah.